Good morning and welcome to the Grow Omaha Show. I'm Jeff Beals, your co-host from NAI NP Dodge Commercial Real Estate Company. We're also brought to you by D&M Roofing, dndmroofing.com, Omaha's premier residential and commercial roofing contractor. Well, my co-host Trenton Magid has the weekend off, and in his stead, we are joined by a name and a voice you know very well, Brad Williams. Brad, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, we always appreciate you subbing in, as you regularly do. For those people who don't know, Brad Williams is the owner of the aptly named Brad Williams Photography, and also at E&A Consulting, a civil engineering firm here in Omaha. So, Brad, without any further ado, I say we get into the news of the week.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
All right. It's brought to you by Eagle Mortgage. We love Eagle Mortgage because they do such a great job of taking care of all our Grow Omaha listeners and subscribers. Holly Schneiderwind and her team at Eagle Mortgage are very customer-centric, work with you to figure out what you really need, and it's January. This is the time of year where people are starting to think, okay, we're going to start looking for a house this spring. Well, the spring housing season these days starts in February. That's not very far away from now. So get into Eagle Mortgage, talk to one of the mortgage brokers, get your pre-approval letter, get your ducks in a row, and when you start to do that crazy house searching thing in February or March, you're going to be ready. You can find them in person at 114th and Davenport or online at eaglemortgagecompany.com. Well, first up, Brad, Mayor Stothert had an interesting quote in a World Herald article earlier this week. She said that we should hopefully have an announcement as to what is going to happen at the W. Dale Clark Library site within the next 6 weeks. A lot of potential out there. You and I and many other people in this city who follow this sort of thing have heard countless rumors about what might happen to that site over the last year or two. But if we truly do hear something in 6 weeks or less, I kind of found that as a bit of a surprise.
I was really surprised. I figured a year from now we might hear something, because you got to think they need to still remodel the new location for the downtown library, move the library, demolish the current library. We're a ways out on actual construction, so it was really surprising to hear that 6 weeks from now we'll get an announcement.
Yeah, that is a good point. There's a lot that has to happen, a lot of moving pieces. Of course, the public services part of the downtown library is going to move to a to-be-renovated historic building at 14th and Jones Street. The back office and distribution stuff will move to a former Costco near 84th and Frederick. But, yeah, that's going to take a while to get both of those facilities around. The other thing is that maybe it might take a while to tear down that thing. I mean, I'm no expert on construction, but I drive by it and it looks like a concrete bunker that was designed to withstand a nuclear bomb blast.
You know, I would have thought the same thing, but after watching them, how fast they tore down the Civic Auditorium, which I thought was a big concrete bunker, I don't think it takes long to tear down anything when they really want to do it.
I guess that goes into the category of nothing is permanent, right?
Yeah, nothing.
Well, it's going to be interesting to keep our eye on that, because the World Herald article talked about Fiserv, and we had heard intel for the last 2 years that Fiserv was a very potential candidate. And I kind of get the feeling, I could be wrong on this, but I kind of get the feeling that had the pandemic never happened, the Fiserv building would be under construction already on the library site. I just get the feeling that they may have changed their mind during and perhaps because of the pandemic.
Yeah, when we first started hearing that Fiserv rumor, it sounded like it was a done deal and the announcement was going to happen real soon. So the positive thing is there was a lot of interest. I forget what she said. There was a dozen or so developers interested in that lot. So I'm going to guess whatever happens is going to happen fairly quickly.
Yeah, and one of those rumors is Mutual of Omaha. Again, these are all rumors. You hear a gazillion things, but there was one rumor floating around just maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago that Mutual might put a 15 to 20-story tower there, presumably developed by some developer. There were rumors before that Mutual of Omaha might be looking at the old UP headquarters site that Lanahaw Development has. Mutual of Omaha might also look at Turner Park East, where they tore down the Runza.
Yeah.
I mean, there's space there now.
So Mutual has a lot of options in Midtown. They have, even if you don't look at that Turner Park East, even on their existing lot, there's a lot of surface parking lots that could be redeveloped into an office building too.
And then, as you and I have talked, there is a pretty well-grounded piece of intel that a 2,000 employee office might be going to North Downtown and Millwork Commons. We don't necessarily know who that is, but that's a moving piece in all of this downtown development talk.
Yeah, it's interesting to speculate on all these with so much available land downtown right now between the library, the lot east of the library, the old UP site that Atlanta owns, and North Downtown.
Well, it's going to be fun to keep an eye on it, as it always is, because we know, well, I guess I'm extremely confident we're going to have some blockbuster residential announcements in downtown over the next several years, if for no other reason than it's desirable. We've sunk $300 million into these 3 parks, the first one coming online in May. It's almost inevitable that we'll have some blockbuster residential projects. But to hear that Fiserv was serious looking, that Mutual of Omaha is looking, that some other company apparently is looking, that's a good sign for the future.
It definitely shows interest down there.
Absolutely. Well, let's move right along and go a little bit to the west. And the planning board earlier this month gave approval to a mixed-use project, primarily residential, but a mixed-use project that is planned for Saddle Creek Road between Pacific and Mayberry. And for people who are not familiar with that area, you might be able to picture the Baker's Supermarket on the corner of Leavenworth and Saddle Creek. This would be just to the south of this on the west side of the road. To me, this looks like a pretty impressive project. Brad, let me give you some of the details, and then we'll get your opinion on it. 195 market rate apartments, underground parking. That would be in the big 6-story main building. Then there would be an outbuilding of 3,100 feet for a credit union and another outbuilding of 2,500 square feet for a coffee shop or a restaurant. This is quite a project.
Yeah, it'd definitely be a nice infill project. I know some people are disappointed that we're going to lose a couple of historic buildings, but I think overall it'll be a great boost to the neighborhood. I don't know if people realize that, but in the 80s, there was a rail line, an active rail line running right through that property. And those are old industrial buildings that the railroad served. And so, the use in that whole neighborhood has really changed since the 80s. And it's maybe time for a spruce up and time to maybe reconnect some roads in that area that, Pacific Street connecting to Saddle Creek would be a boost to that neighborhood too. And there's a lot of good that will come out of this project.
I 100% agree. And in fact, I've been a little bit perplexed that there has been some negative blowback about this, because while some of the buildings perhaps are historic and there could be some nostalgia from that old railroad-driven industrial area and industrial time, if I'm going to be blunt, I don't think these buildings that they're going to take down look all that good. At least the ones right on Saddle Creek.
In their current state, they definitely don't. And it's the Med Center growing. This is not one project that's going to happen. This is the second or third in that area of at least a few more, coming down the pipeline. So,
and I would say you can expect and should expect there to be quite a few more, because you think about it, if the Med Center does go through with its plans, which are going to add 8,700 generally high-paying jobs to that area, and with all of that capital investment, I think the number of these, multifamily 4 to 6 story buildings with some mixed use component, you can imagine you're probably going to get, plus the New Hampton Inn hotels moving forward.
A lot of these projects too, I feel like, they build them on the edge of the neighborhood, and they kind of like frame in the neighborhood. The fabric of the neighborhood with all the single family houses in the middle are all still there. The neighborhood's still a great neighborhood. It just adds to it. We used to live right up the street from there, in fact, and if I still lived on 52nd Street, I would have been happy to see this right down the hill from me. So
yeah, I'd much rather have a project like that than underutilized industrial.
Definitely.
Hey, we do want to give a little bit of a national commercial real estate and business news perspective, as we often do, from CoStar, a company that is kind enough to provide us with some real estate data. CoStar recently talked about an annual study that tracks where and why Americans are moving, and found people flocking to states and cities with lower populations. In fact, according to United Van Line's National Movers Study, the Medford-Ashland area of Oregon, and Punta Gorda, Florida, led the nation in percentage of inbound migration. The survey found that people typically are leaving New Jersey, Illinois, New York, and California because they're high cost, high density, high tax type places. And now, one of the things that was a little bit frustrating about the states was that Nebraska actually came in 10th for most outbound moves percentage-wise, which shocked me because the percentage population growth in the last couple of years in Omaha has accelerated, as it has, I think, in the Lincoln area. But that greater Nebraska area, doggone it, sounds like they continue to lose people, but the eastern part of the state is thriving. But at any rate, that's your commercial real estate national perspective brought to you courtesy of CoStar. Brad, one thing I do want to work in real fast before we go to the break, a state senator is proposing a bill that would provide $500,000 to fund a study determining whether we need a high-speed commuter rail line between Omaha and Lincoln. This sounds really, really, really cool, but I just don't know if they could ever come up with enough ridership to justify it.
Yeah, I would be all on board for it, but I don't see it being feasible. You know, when we go visit family out in D.C., we'll take their commuter train up to New York or Philly or whatever, and it's awesome. But those are so much bigger cities connected. You know, I just don't see enough people around here to make it feasible.
Yeah, I mean,
as much as I want it.
Oh, I mean, it was so cool, but you know, you think about it, New York, Philadelphia, Boston, and D.C. are all in the top 10 largest metro areas in the United States. Yeah. Omaha and Lincoln, not so much. The concern I have about it is if we had it, great, cool, fine, as long as the feds paid for it or whatever, but I don't want it to hurt Omaha's efforts to get some rail in the streets here. I think you can definitely justify rail between downtown Omaha and the Med Center and maybe Exarban Village. And I would hate for something like this to take away any progress we have toward the intra-city. Right.
That would be a lot. The money would be a lot better spent, I think, in Omaha right now than trying to connect the two cities.
Where we have the density.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's Brad Williams substituting for Trenton Magid. And that is also your news of the week, brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. We're going to take our first break of the hour, and when we come back, Brad and I are going to talk about a lot of different construction projects from east to west. It's going to be a lot of fun, so stay with us. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by NAI NP Dodge Commercial Real Estate and D&M Roofing on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to the show, Grow Omaha, brought to you by D&M Roofing and NAI NP Dodge Commercial Real Estate. We are broadcasting without Trenton Magid, who has taken the weekend off, but we have our regular contributor, Brad Williams, here, who is one of Omaha's most renowned photographers. And Brad also runs all of our social media here on Grow Omaha and is also with ENA Consulting, civil engineering firm, outstanding civil engineering firm here in Omaha. But Brad, I'm a little bit worried about ENA Consulting. I'm just afraid that your productivity is going to go down because I saw a photograph that you guys installed a game room and you got golden tea and you got pinball machines and all that stuff. So you guys get any work done over there?
You know, we also had an omelet bar this morning catered in.
Really?
Yeah, they wanted to reward us for our charitable donations to United Way and a couple other projects. So, but the game room, we're gonna keep it under wraps. We're gonna get our work done first, and then we're gonna have fun.
So in ENA, it's like work hard, play hard.
Yeah, pretty much. We're hoping that the game room is just something people do during lunch, to kind of bond with each other or after work. It should be a lot of fun, though. Back in the day, I used to play a lot of Golden Tee, so I'm pretty rusty, but I'm ready to give it a whirl here. Maybe tomorrow afternoon, I'm thinking. We
have a vintage Pac-Man machine at NAI NP Dodge, but I think we only turned it on about once every 6 months.
Someone when they saw the Golden Tee machine asked where the Pac-Man machine was. So
they're out there.
Yeah,
they sell them new actually, and you can put them in, but they look like the ones from the arcades back in the '80s. At any rate, but you guys are a fun place to work.
Yeah, and we have a lot of job openings right now. So if you go to eacg.com and click on the careers tab, there's a whole list of jobs, and then you can come play Golden Tee after work. So
that's true. It's an added benefit. Well, Brad, you are the creator of our monthly Grow Omaha construction update, and we had one that just came out about a week and a half ago. And it's outstanding, by the way. If you haven't ever watched that, ladies and gentlemen, just go to growomaha.com. And when you get there on the navigation bar up top, it says shows. And click on that and go down to construction update. You'll absolutely love it. We've got all of them on there so you can see them. But, Brad, I thought it'd be kind of fun. Let's go through some of the projects that you included in this month's update. Let's just talk about them a little bit.
Sure, sounds good.
Bring people up to speed. So, okay, it starts out with the Mercantile project, which is on the north end of the ConAgra campus, which is really changing the face of that area of downtown.
Yeah, when you drive up 10th Street now, it's a whole different look. You know, I'm a little young to remember Jobbers Canyon. I remember it, but I don't remember it that well. But having a big dominating building on the east side of 10th Street is probably gives you a little bit of a feel of what that was like back then. And they're really doing a nice job with it, you know, really nice brickwork. And the other thing that I pointed out in that video, too, was you don't realize how big that building is from 10th Street, but I also included an aerial from the fall looking at that building from the east side. And, you know, it takes up a whole, I think it's 2 city blocks. It has a parking garage hidden in the middle, and, you know, eventually the building will ring all the way around that parking garage.
I mean, that building will have the population of a small town, of a small city.
I don't know the exact numbers, but it's definitely going to hold some people.
You know, I do remember Jobbers Canyon when the whole debate was going on. I think that was right about when I was maybe a senior in high school, and I actually paid attention to that stuff. No surprise, even back then. And I can remember being 100% in favor of it. But now when I look back, like, it's so sad that we lost all those historic buildings, and for a company that ended up leaving after 25 years anyway. But it is cool to see that massing on the street there. And it does remind me of what it looked like when those big brick buildings were located right there along the east side of 10th Street.
Yeah, can you imagine also if they ever filled in that parking lot on the west side of 10th Street from it? I mean, you would be in a canyon driving up 10th Street. That'd be really neat to see.
I guess that will probably happen. There was a proposal a couple years ago for a building that was like, I don't know, like 15 to 20 stories there. Now, I don't think anything happened with it, but it probably tells us that something will go on that surface parking lot.
Yeah, eventually a building will be worth more than that parking will. So.
Well, then in the video, you go to the Iowa side, the banks of the Iowa side of the Missouri River. You talked about Kiewit Luminarium, and then you also mentioned something interesting about the current condition of the river itself.
Yeah, when I recorded that, I never looked at the official reading, but the forecast for the river was 6.3 feet, which is the lowest it's ever been since they've started keeping track of the Missouri River level.
Which is crazy to think, because just a couple of years ago during, what was that, 2 years ago during that flood?
Yeah, well, 2011 and 2019, we had 2 floods, and I think the water level was 46 feet or somewhere in that 45, 46-foot range, so we're talking 30 feet above where it was, 35 feet above where it was.
And the Kiewit Luminarium is looking great.
Yeah, it is. That, as far as the construction updates and the construction photos, that's a little bit harder to photograph because there's not a lot of access to it. And then this time in the winter, the sun's so low, if I want to take a picture from the pedestrian bridge, you're kind of looking straight into the sun. So kind of waiting for that area to open up a little more and get some better photos of it.
Well, and the other thing, it's just tucked away back there.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people forget about it. And then all of a sudden it's going to sneak up on people. It's going to open one day and people are going to be, holy cow, this is amazing.
Yeah. I think when you get up close to it, it's going to look a lot bigger in person than it does from across the river.
And then the video did a quick shot of the entryway construction at Eppley Airport.
Yeah. I hadn't seen the ramp. I heard you and Trenton talk about the ramp going to the 3rd floor. So I did a quick drive-by of that one.
It looks pretty cool. I mean, it kind of, now it's only going to a parking garage, whereas a lot of the airports will do the double-decker drop-off on the top, baggage claim on the lower. They're not doing that, at least for the time being. But it kind of has a little bit of that look to it, which I
certainly
thought was
does.
Cool. And then let's go back downtown, the Logan building at 18th and Dodge Street, which is under renovation, is getting close to completion.
Yeah, talk about a building that was boarded up for a long, long time. It is so good to see that building finally rehabbed and ready to open.
When buildings are boarded up for a long time, I tend to worry because you wonder what the conditions are like. Is there deterioration? And it seems like the longer it's boarded up, the greater the vulnerability, to the wrecking ball. Thank goodness that one is going forward. It's going to be Nebraska's first Hotel Indigo. Yep. I have not stayed at a Hotel Indigo. I did pop into the lobby of one in another city within the last year. To use the restroom, to be honest, and great concept.
Yeah, definitely. It's great to have a little bit of everything because people are really loyal to their brands when they travel. So you got to have a little bit of each hotel to keep people happy and keep people coming.
And that will be nice because it's not a huge hotel, but it's very cool. It's very nice. It's very niched. It kind of reminds me in some ways of the Peregrine, which is a Hilton Curio hotel, in that it's nichey in a historic building. And then one of the other projects that I think will go along with those other two hotels is the Moxie by Marriott. You showed that in the video.
Yeah, that's going to be a neat infill project too.
Can't wait.
That should, the diner was neat. It's tucked back in the little corner there, but I think this is really going to open up that Harney Street for more growth. There's, Old Chicago left, the Mangelson Gallery left, then the building to the west. I'm forgetting the name of it, but that's been vacant for a long time. So hopefully this really sparks a lot of interest in that Harney Street area.
Yeah, back in the 90s, there was kind of a sort of French, sort of new American bistro that was in that building that I used to love to go to. It was so good, and I can't believe that's been well over 20 years since it closed.
And has there been much in there since then? I don't know if there has.
I don't think so. In fact, I sometimes just scratch my head when I look at that building because to me it seems like it should be a hub of activity, but it has not been. I agree with your points on the diner. It was fun. It was a cool place, but a gross underutilization of a square block in the old market. This building, by packing that in there, is going to just bring that area to life.
It is packed. It's an E&A project, and I worked on it, and so it's using up about every square foot of that lot.
Also downtown in the video, you talk about the progress on the very impressive Joslyn addition, which is coming along a little faster than I may have anticipated.
Yeah, it's already gone vertical. There's a few pieces of steel in the air, and the elevator shaft's going up. So it's going to be neat. That's it's not a traditional building, so I'm kind of interested to see how they actually construct it.
Yeah, it will be. That will be fascinating just to watch the steel work. Because right now there's a little steel, and you can see an elevator shaft. Yeah. But to really see that frame come about is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know when that's going to start, but I'm keeping my eye on it for sure.
Well, Joslyn is a place for the arts, and so is Steelhouse Omaha, different kind. It's going to be a lot of live music. But this is the live music venue on the block bordered by Capitol and Dodge. What is that, 11th and 12th? Yeah. Okay. And you put that in the video, and that's really coming along.
Yeah, I've put that in the video a couple times now. It seems like it's going up pretty fast. And it's interesting because the front of the building tilts out towards the street, so it's kind of interesting to see something different like that going up downtown.
And certainly fills in that Capital District area. We're going to take our middle of the show break for the news, and when we come back, we're going to have our real estate development spotlight brought to you by Noddle Companies, and Brad and I will talk more about projects that are going on throughout the metro area. We're going to look a little further to the west. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by NAI NP Dodge and D&M Roofing on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to Grow Omaha, the area's only show that's dedicated to the growth and development of your favorite city. I'm Jeff Beals, sitting next to Brad Williams, who is substituting for Trenton Magid, taking this weekend off. We are brought to you by NAI NP Dodge and D&M Roofing. We strongly recommend D&M Roofing for anyone who is thinking about replacing, repairing, or maintaining a commercial roof. And of course, they do a great job with residential roofs as well. You can find them at dndmroofing.com. Well, this is the Commercial Real Estate Development Spotlight brought to you by Noddle Companies. Middle of the show, we always talk about one of the cool happenings at one of the many Noddle Companies development projects throughout the metro area. And this week, we talk about construction going vertical at Nebraska Medicine's Village Point campus. Now, on the southwest corner of Village Point, there have already been a couple of very nice medical office buildings there, but Noddle Companies is helping the Med Center expand. And so construction is starting to go vertical on a 90,000 square foot building on the east side of that project. It'll be 3 stories. So right southwest of the movie theater that is at Village Point. Spring 2023 is the targeted completion. The actual address is right about 175th rather, and Burke. So very cool project there. If you haven't been by it, if you're shopping at Village Point, drive by and you can see a pretty impressive project. Big crane in the area as well. And if you want to learn more about Noddle Companies, you can find out everything you want about the company at nautilcompanies.com. They are a full-service, Omaha-based real estate development company doing multiple projects here and around the country. Well, Brad Williams is here with us, and we're going through some of the projects that Brad highlighted in his most recent Grow Omaha construction update, because it's just kind of fun to talk about some of these. And we were mostly downtown, and now I want to look at a little further out. And one of those projects a little further out is a very prominent-looking apartment building that's under construction at 38th and Leavenworth.
Yeah, you're talking about another building that towers over the road, and I believe this is another project that's directly related to the Med Center growth. And they have about half the building is topped out now, and now they're going to start working on the western half of the building.
And it's got indoor parking on the lower levels, and I was over in that area a week or two ago when we had one of those really nice 55-degree days, and was kind of taking a walk. I had a lunch meeting downtown, and sometimes I like to walk around areas with construction as part of my Grow Omaha duties, and walked right by that building, and it just dominates that corner.
Yeah, it should be a sharp-looking building, too, when it's done. And it was pretty impressive seeing them dig the hole for the garage. That parking is going to be pretty far underground on the north side of it.
Yeah, it's going to get down in there. And then further west, the Clove Apartments, J Development is doing that project. It is on the site of a former Village Inn and a hotel motel. I think it was a Econo Lodge or something like that.
Somewhere along those lines, yeah.
Yeah, what is that, about 80th, 79th and Dodge?
Right, about 79th, 70. Yeah, because 78's the Main Street. Yeah, 79th and Dodge.
Okay, and right now the concrete walls are up for the main level, which is going to be a lot of indoor parking.
Yeah, underground parking, and then you would think that once they get that roof on, the rest is probably going to be wood and go up pretty quick.
Yeah, kind of one of those pedestal buildings that we see a lot of these days in Midtown Omaha.
Yeah, definitely.
And a lot of people don't realize that building, the Dodge part will be kind of more of the back side of the building. The main entrance, which will be kind of a grand main entrance, will be on that road that runs along the back or the south side of that property.
Yeah, was that Farnham Drive maybe?
Is that what it is?
Okay. I think so. I'm not positive. I drive it all the time, but I just don't look at the street sign.
Well, if we go way far out into Gretna, Nautil Companies is developing Steel Ridge, which is on it's just basically the east side of Interstate 80 there, on both sides of Highway 370. But on the north side of Highway 370, we have the new H&H dealership that is really going up fast.
Yeah, it is. They're using the precast walls. They're setting those up. Looks like it's going to be quite a bit larger building, at least from my perspective. Looks like it's going to be larger than their current facility on 84th and L. And be interesting also, speaking of development, what happens at 84th and L, because that's a pretty prime piece of real estate to develop too once the H&H leaves.
I wonder if that'll go industrial.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because that's a nice commercial corridor on 84th, but everything to the east of it is all industrial. So
yeah,
and it's that lot is kind of tiered. H&H is up on top, and then they had all their spare cars down on the bottom, which was a lot lower down. So it'd be kind of interesting to see what they do with it.
Yeah, that will be. I guess I'd put my money on some industrial uses. To me, that makes sense. I mean, I don't think you would have another car dealership there.
Yeah.
Car dealerships want to do what H&H is doing. They want the big open space and have all of the modern amenities and everything that they do.
Yeah, just my hope is it doesn't turn into like a used car dealership, one of those second or third rate ones.
Don't hold your breath. But let's go a little further out on 370 at 192nd Street. We might be looking at some pretty big-time retail construction there.
192nd, 370. There's a sign up for Hy-Vee. They graded the site. Actually, if you drive to the north side of the lot, you can see where the loading docks and everything for a new Hy-Vee are going to be. There's a construction trailer on site. They were hooking power up to the construction trailer. So my guess is that construction is going to happen sooner than later. I haven't heard anything official. I don't know if you have or not.
No, with the 180th and Pacific Hy-Vee, they sat on that ground for a long time. This one seems to be going a little bit faster.
A little bit faster. Yeah, they also have been sitting on a lot at 204th and Maple for years and years also. So.
Yeah, perhaps even longer than the Gretna one,
yeah,
I think.
I don't remember exactly which one was bought when, but they do tend to pick their lots and then wait till the time's right to build.
Yeah, well, and when you're as established and successful as Hy-Vee is, they probably can afford to be patient, but they probably need to be.
Yeah. Seeing the actual grading for the foundation around the back of the building leads me to believe it's not just grading and to sit on it. I think they're actually going to move forward
Getting
sooner
close
than
to the
later.
green light. Okay. Well, Brad, I also want to talk about the 180th and Giles area, which is toward the end of this month's Grow Omaha construction update video. And then you also shared an aerial photograph on the Grow Omaha Facebook page. I had not been down in that area where so much road construction was taking place for several months and was floored to see how much has been accomplished.
Yeah, most of 2021, I believe, Giles and 180th Street in that area were closed. They're building. There was 2 railroad crossings. They're getting rid of the railroad crossings. There's a creek crossing. They're just going to have 2 large bridges go up and over the railroad and up over the creek on Giles, and a new intersection. And then there's also going to be a connector road that's going to curve to the west and go all the way out and tie into 192nd Street. So it's going to bring Giles, 180th, and 192nd all together into one kind of intersection.
So if you drive it now, not all of it is open because it's still under construction, but if you go west on Giles from 168th, you can now go all the way to 180th, and then you can turn left onto a newly paved 180th that will go all the way down to Highway 370. That's all new. Then you can see, if you're going down there, you can look to your right and you can see the bridge going in that will take 180th over the Burlington Northern Railroad tracks and the creek. You can see they're making progress on Giles to that bridge, and then you can see the curving road that Brad's talking about coming along great. The thing, though, that really surprised me was how much residential construction is already very well underway on pretty much all 4 corners of this new infrastructure.
Yeah, the grading and the infrastructure for the neighborhoods has been going in the same time as all these new roads, and I would guess that you'll start seeing houses coming out of the ground this spring in some of those neighborhoods in that area.
Well, we're going to take our final break of the hour, and when we come back, Brad and I are going to bring you the lightning round brought to you by Turner Construction, and I've got a lot of items on the lightning round list, so it's going to be a lot in a little bit of time. Stay with us. You're listening to Jeff Beals and Brad Williams in for Trenton Magid on Grow Omaha, brought to you by D&M Roofing and NAI NP Dodge. Back in a moment on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to Grow Omaha, the area's only show that focuses on the growth and development of the metro area, business expansion, real estate, and construction. I'm Jeff Beals, sitting next to Brad Williams of Brad Williams Photography and E&A Consulting. He's one of our frequent contributors and team members at Grow Omaha. And also with E&A Consulting and helping out today, which is great. So we're going to jump right into our lightning round, which is brought to you by Turner Construction. Turner Construction is going gangbusters these days. You see their signs all over the place. Of course, their big marquee project in the metro area is the Sarpy County Data Center. And if you drive by there right now, you can see the third big section on the southwest corner of Highway 50 and Schramm Road, but or is it Capehart Road? Capehart Road, Schramm, I always get it mixed up. At any rate, it's on the southwest corner. It's phases 5 and 6, and it's going up so fast. It's looking great. Also, they do small projects too, and we also want to salute Turner because they do such a good job of workforce development, getting people ready for the trades, and we appreciate Turner Construction being the sponsor of the Lightning Round. Well, Brad, a couple restaurant closings. First of all, after 54 years, Anthony's is going to close the doors on February 26th. This is the steakhouse with the big steer statue on the roof. That's classic old Omaha right there.
It is. We actually, my wife and I had our wedding reception there.
Oh, yeah?
And I wanted a wedding picture with the steer, and my wife was not happen. That was not happening.
She was not having it. And now she wishes she did because it's going to, maybe she still doesn't.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably. But I think about all of the meetings I went there, because they had that convention center side on the north.
Yeah, that's where the reception was. And it was just perfect. I mean, just a perfect venue to have all the little different things we wanted. So
yeah, it will be missed. It's been around for 54 years. Spikers Sports and Spirits has closed at 202nd and Highway 370 in Gretna. It was kind of a sports bar sand volleyball place. From what we can tell, they sold the building probably to someone who was willing to pay a premium to get in there. I mean, that's just growth in a city.
A lot of development in that area right now.
Dollar General has a new store at 16th and Stores Expressway. It's always good to see new retail going in on the north side. I think that's a positive step forward. And then we've got some stuff going on at Shadow Lake Town Center in Papillion. Last week we talked about wall-to-wall wine and spirits. Very cool. I went in there. Great store. And it kind of reminds me of that WBS in the old Toys R Us by Oakview.
Beers R Us?
Yeah, beers are us. They still have the purple carts, which cracks me up.
They do.
But at any rate, other things going on at Shadow Lake. Take 5 Car Wash and Take 5 Oil Change planning to build a location on an empty lot between Texas Roadhouse and Buffalo Wild Wings. A Chase Bank branch is under construction just east of T-Mobile and Mattress Firm. And then the Olive Garden will be opening in a former old Chicago. Looks like the first day for business is scheduled to be February 21st. Club Car Wash is now open at 72nd and Sorensen Parkway. They also plan to open in February at 108th and Maple and March at 193rd and Gold. But it seems like everyone's getting these membership car washes, Brad.
I know. People are still writing into the Grow Omaha Facebook page asking why there's so many car washes coming to town.
I don't really know the answer other than someone must be making a mint opening these membership car washes.
Or we hit some kind of population threshold or something that opened all these people's eyes. I don't know. It's interesting. All at once. They're all coming at once.
Yeah, because Tommy's has opened a few and plans more. Rocket plans several more and has a couple. Mm-hmm. And then Tidal Wave has got one that just opened on 120th and Dodge and a couple more in development.
One on 88th and Dodge that's probably going to open pretty soon, it looks like.
Right there on the street.
Yeah.
All right, JoJo's Diner West plans to open at 131st and Birch. That's really like southeast of 132nd and West Maple Road. It's going to be in the former Lombardo's space in a strip center southeast of 132nd and, I just said 132nd Maple. I'm repeating myself. At any rate, the original JoJo's Diner is at 6118 Military in Benson. I've not tried it, but people say it's really good.
Yeah, I haven't either.
I'm sure it'll do very well there. Although we have gone through a lot of restaurants in that space over the years.
Yeah, I don't understand if there's plenty of residents in that area, and I don't know if it's poor visibility or just, there's better options around there. I can't imagine why it wouldn't work.
Yeah, or it could just be some bad luck.
Yeah.
Because the concepts that have been in there have been good concepts. Yeah. I've been to all of them and liked them all. But, yeah, it could just been like some bad luck or coincidence because it is a good spot. Just Popped has opened in November at 9839 South 96th Street in Papillion. That's right at 96th and Portal Road. And speaking of little breakfast places like diners, there's a breakfast cafe in that same building I've been wanting to try but haven't gotten the chance to get there yet. And then out in Gretna, Rexius Nutrition has opened in a strip center southwest of 168, or it's just about to open, rather, in a strip center southwest of 168th and Highway 370. And then, Brad, one thing I want to hit before we go, the first house is now under construction at Loveland Estates, the development right by Westside High School.
It seems like that's taken a little bit to get going from the time they kind of finished what I would say, the infrastructure work and building the first house. But I'm going to guess they're going to sell pretty fast. It's a very desirable neighborhood and very convenient to a lot of things. And it's going to be a good development, I think.
Upscale development right by 87th and Pacific. And with that, we are out of time. Brad, I appreciate you joining us as always.
Hey, had a blast. It's always fun joining you.
And thank you for everything you do for the Grow Omaha team. That's Brad Williams from E&A Consulting and Brad Williams Photography. Trenton will be back next week. In the meantime, we hope you have a great week. I'm Jeff Beals, and you have been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by D&M Roofing, NAI, NP Dodge, and Turner Construction. We'll chat with you next week at 9 o'clock right here on News Radio 1110 KFAB. If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.